you, I'm Tom Bloomhorst, and for those of you that may be new here, I am Tom Bloomhorst, and my wife and I serve as chairman of this club, and I am a little nervous because Reed Caldwell is here from Livingston County, and Reed, he runs these meetings in Chillicothe, and he runs a tight ship, and he's so organized, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say. And speaking of that, we went to Livingston County's Lincoln Days last Friday night. A table of us did, and my gosh, it was an amazing night. Well managed, the efficiency of the speakers, and I bring it up because Kathy and I, for years, have gone to Lincoln Days wherever we can find one all over the country and all over Missouri, I mean. And they're always very enjoyable, and we always learn something. In particular, we always learn when we go to grassroots Lincoln Days. I've just got to say it. And so there's a distinction there. And at any rate, and Reed and Natalie are from Livingston County, Chillicothe are here tonight, and thank you, Reed and Natalie, for coming all the way over. It's a long drive. A point of, now that I'm rambling, I'm just going to stay with that. Did anybody find it interesting that the congressmen in Washington, D.C. that are at, they don't want, they call themselves no kings congressmen, and they give King Charles a standing ovation today. Did anybody notice that? Is that not ironic? It just shows the hypocrisy of those people, or the double standard. If it wasn't for double standards, they'd have no standards. I regularly text a lot of people about our meetings, and it's good and bad because so many people will say, I can't come. I've got farming, I've got school, I've got sports stuff, so I get a little bummed because I send out 150 texts, Kathy and I do, but so many, I want to say this, so many people text me back and say, I'm just so grateful that you video your programs, and so I want to remind you of that. We video the program, and then we put it on YouTube, and it's still going to be under Salt Fork Pachyderm Club, because we haven't quite got our name changed to Turning Point Action Club yet. But so that's where you got to find it. So let me remind you that we video, and you can find us on YouTube. And tell your friends that too. And so, but a lot of people don't come because they know they can watch it on YouTube. So that's good and bad, I guess. Another interesting thing is I'm at the YMCA just before I came here, and I'm talking to this woman I know, and she's looking at me like I got two heads. And Joy's going to love this because she plays bridge with her. and then it dawned on me I had this shirt on. She is an absolute liberal, you know what I mean? Because I wear it so much I just forget I'm wearing it. And so there's that. And Joy, you would like that one. Okay. Oh, speaking of texting people, so I do text a lot of people, and it's really rewarding when you do show up. Like Mike and Janet Sampson just showed up, and I just.
Hey, girl, in Florida.
I know. So anyway,
Or maybe they're home for this.
if you have ever received a text from me about our meetings, would you raise your hand? All right, that's so good. I might ask that question again later. I'm going to have to get Reed Caldwell to come up here and give me some one-liners. The one thing that I wrote down is it seems like the left relentlessly dehumanizes conservatives, not just Trump. And as they relentlessly dehumanize conservatives and Christian people, for the left, it makes our lives less valuable. And that's what's been happening. And we're seeing it so much now. We're seeing the results of that dehumanizing us at this point in time. It's got to stop. All right. Next thing I would like to have, as you know, we're going to have a Lincoln Days in July 2nd, or now I'm telling you, you're going to have one if you didn't know it. July 2nd, we have our Lincoln Days, and people keep asking me how to get tickets, and I'm not the guy that's going to know. So I want Jill to come up and explain how you can get tickets for our Lincoln Days. It won't be like we've done before, where you call somebody and they write it down on paper that you're coming, and we forget about it. We're going to do it better than that.
Okay, for everyone that was here earlier, our speaker again is Nick Freitas. He's the guy with the mug on Facebook that talks and tells very great little stories about conservatism. He was a speaker at AmFest. The kids loved him. He was their favorite speaker. So we will be having him July 2nd. Doors will open at 5 p.m. like normal. Tickets are online. I brought my computer. If you want to buy your tickets tonight, you can buy them tonight. You'll be picking your seats. So you'll know where you sit and pay right then. Or you can pay by check, and it'll send you an email. You can drop a check off or mail the check too. So trying to make it easy. That gets all the information in one place, which prevents me from having to retype it about 6 times, which takes, no joke, hours and hours when I have to do all the filing. So I really appreciate you supporting the cause. We're trying to get to all of our regulars first so we know they have seats, and then we're going to put it on our Facebook page, which will mean it's open to the public, and it'll go pretty quickly. So if you know you want to go, just come pick your seats and see me after the meeting, and we can get it set up.
No, that's it. Thank you. And to make the point again, get your tickets, because once it's out there in the public, I mean, they're going to go. People will be coming from St. Louis and Kansas City, and we want to serve our own communities first. Yes?
How much are the tickets?
There's different ticket prices based on what you get. So individual tickets are $75. They're full tables. We also are looking for speaker sponsors to help us support the cost of Nick Freitas. So it kind of is a pick and choose. Okay.
If they get online, they can see that? To make their
Yes, then you
choice?
can see the ticket prices and make your choices when you look at it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you drive around the square, look at the southeast corner of the square. That big blank wall has now been painted with the primer paint for the mural. You saw the mural outside. And I've had several people give me contributions to that mural. And we're grateful for every one of them. And, you know, our club is committed to that mural. And it's going to be finished by July 4th. And the artist, we had to find a conservative artist to do this, and that's hard to find. We found the only one in the country, I think. But he wanted to do it, and so he's committed to getting it done before July 4th, and our Lincoln Days is going to be July 2nd. It's going to be a pretty great week. And so you see the mural out there, and if you want to contribute to our club is committed to it. It's going to be a $20,000 project, and we're going to make it happen, but we're always grateful when y'all help us on this sort of thing. Okay. Oh, by the way, at the Lincoln Days in Chillicothe, they gave out these Declaration of Independence and Constitution books that are 250-year anniversary booklets. Man, you ought to get one. They're really good. It's still the same old Declaration of Independence and Constitution, but the wording preceding it is pretty good. Yes?
For you, darling. I wanted to say something. I think the people that run our pachyderm club do a dang good job.
Joy, thank you so much for that. So there, Reed. Okay, so, okay, David Rimmer, I want you to come up and give the prayer. I go to prayer breakfast with David Rimmer once a month. He's faithful at coming to our meetings, and he's really my brother in Christ. And we got started years ago by, before I knew him very well, he said, "How you doing, Tom?" And I said, "Every day's Christmas." And that's how we exchange each other all the time. That's right. At any rate, David, where do you want to be? Okay, and when David is going to read scripture and lead us in prayer, and then we're going to do the pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Tom. In God's Word, there are approximately 3,000 promises, and I want to share one with you tonight. It's from 2 Chronicles 7:14, and God says to us, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land." That, folks, is a great promise, and we can lean on it. 2 Chronicles 7:14. The next thing, as we're going to prayer, we want to take a moment to the loss we had this afternoon in regard to the Oswald family. We want to lift them up in regard and surround them with prayer, because that's the only thing that feels like we have. Also, for our brothers and sisters in slavery, that fortunately, to my knowledge, I've been down there today. I don't know that there were no deaths or anything, but the devastation that's been there in the community is coming around there. But also Gillum and Glasgow got hit, if you're not aware of what the tornado did. So we'll take just a moment of silence to lift those up, and then I will finish with a word of prayer. Father, as we come before this evening, we praise your name, Father. We thank you for so many blessings. First off, we woke up in America. We did absolutely nothing to deserve that, Father, and so we thank you for that blessing. We thank you that we live in a time where we can come together and we can share our faith, we can share our values, we can show a world that is truly lost and dying what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ and what that means for not only here, but for eternity. Father, we lift up our government officials, as your word says. We're to honor and lift them up and pray for them on a regular basis. We're supposed to, we lift up the families. Each person that made it a priority to be here tonight. We pray for the fact that we come together, we come in unity, different places, different values, different situations, but we have one commonality, and that is we focus on you in all times, Father, and that takes all the chaos and the darkness away. So be with us tonight. Be with Michael as he shares his ministry and the passion that he has to take a look over our government and the legislation process, but also let us be responsible in keeping in touch with our representatives and senators so that they know what we feel and pray that they represent us. So we give you the praise and glory, Father, for everything that you do. We give you the praise and glory for your word, and we ask all this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. Before we say the pledge, I want to say something. The regret of my life was that I never served my country in uniform. And it just humbles me when I'm around people that have. My father had two first cousins get killed in World War II. One shortly after D-Day, he successfully landed on D-Day, but then got killed a week later. And the other cousin was on the Oklahoma and died on that battleship at Pearl Harbor. My wife's father was killed. She was a lifetimer in the military, and when she was 3.5 years old, he was killed in a peacetime accident. And so with great pride, I want to say to you, my grandson Noah is in South Carolina now. He joined the National Guard. And if you came to Riley Gaines' Lincoln Days last year, Noah was my grandson that said the prayer. And I'm just so proud of them, and it's a fulfillment for me that my grandson is in the military, and so I just wanted to share that. And having said that, for those of you that have served our country in the military, would you please stand now and remain standing? Marine, right? Thank you for your service. And if you're a first responder, could you stand now if you're here? Okay, the rest of you can now stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vicki is our board member that's going to come up and talk about the scholarships we present.
I don't think I'm going to need my light tonight. Mike, thanks for bringing the computer. Okay, I'm going to be in competition. How many of you are here because you received a call or a text from me? There you go. If you would like to be on my list, which is a mass mailing, just see me afterwards and I'll make sure I put you on my list. I'm here this evening to award the scholarships for 2026. Now I want to tell you, this is a hard job. It's a hard job for the seniors. It's a hard job for the scorers. And it's a hard job for me. We have given $9,000 in scholarships over the last 3 years. Thank you to each and every one.
And by we, they have, because it's some of them.
You guys, without your memberships, your donations, and your support of our Lincoln Days, we probably would give $50 scholarships. So there you go. You all are making a difference. Each year, the topic choices have become increasingly thought-provoking. This year, our topic choices were: America was founded on a Judeo-Christian government. Why? Number 2, democratic socialism, fascism, republic. How are these forms of government identified by today's media? Which of these identifies America best? And 3, what does America's future look like for you? How can you positively affect the future? I'll tell you that the students who respond have put in a lot of time and thought, but this year, as I read through the submissions, and I just read, I don't score, because I know who the kids are and that wouldn't be fair. So my scorers don't know who anybody is. But each of the submissions this year were about the future. What would it be like? What challenge would be for them personally? How would they maneuver the changes? Thoughts about possibilities. Normal thoughts for students getting ready to leave a secure and well-ordered environment. Normal for students getting ready to leave for the world out there. The things that they wrote about had hope, vision, and readiness to take the first step. I believe that we, as a collective, are assigned the mission to make the what-ifs possible for our country. I want to thank each of you for coming each month here to learn new ideas, to clarify issues, challenge the status quo, and to fellowship with one another. Because without you, we wouldn't be able to put a tiny bit of fuel for these young people's trips into frontiers still left to be discovered. You have to realize that the students that submit these essays are top-notch students and they're going somewhere. As a result, Tonight, we're only going to be able to award one of the scholarships, and then the other two will be awarded at our May meeting. We have one of our awardees who is in Georgia right now at a national competition, and the other one is at a soccer meet. They're all busy. So it's hard for everybody to get here the same evening. And then our our essayist who is getting her award tonight would not be able to be here in May because she's taking a trip with her family. So we're splitting it up this year. At this time, I would ask that Joanna Ray come up here. Joanna, it's with great pride and pleasure that I present to you this $750 scholarship. I know it's not much, but hopefully it'll buy a book or two. Thank you very much. And Joanna brought her mom and her dad and her grandparents. So if you see them out and about, give them a hey, hi, and welcome them. I think that's it, Tom. You get to introduce Mike.
By the way, it's an election year. If there's anybody here that is running for public office, can I let me know who you are? Jill or Jill Hollabaugh. You can stand and sit.
Hello, running for presiding commissioner of Saline County.
All right.
Jill Hollabaugh, presiding commissioner, Saline County. Mike, go ahead. Phil.
Bill J. Sherman, I'm the first state representative of Dennis County, District 52.
Anybody else?
Do you have any local officials attending?
Say what, Heather?
I wonder if we had any local officials attending local, sometimes there shouldn't be that.
Yeah. At any rate, it takes courage to run for public office. I mean, you're sticking yourself out there, and it's not a pleasant experience, quite frankly. So we've got to really applaud these people that do this, no matter which side of the aisle they're on. Okay, General Flynn was here almost 2 years ago now, and a guy called me about getting tickets named Mike Compton and Amy Castro, and this is challenging when Kathy's not here for a minute.
You only turn around and look at the screen. You turn around and look at the screen.
Read it off the wall.
Oh. I wish you wouldn't have said that. At any rate, so I learned to know Mike and Amy, especially Mike. I talk to Mike all the time. Mike's my go-to guy. Mike's my information guy. Because I've always said I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I just listen to smart people. And so Mike's my guy. And so Mike and Amy, y'all want to come up here and introduce yourself and what you do.
This is always the most interesting group we talk to because we're on the stage with this big screen. So, Marshall, thank you for having us. As we've already heard, I'm Amy Castro and this is Michael Compton. We're from Missouri. What do you want to say about us, Mike?
Well, a show of hands, how many people here already know kind of what we do and follow us?
I do.
All right, and you might want to just give them a quick...
Yeah, Mike and I started this whole journey when COVID happened. We were in different arenas. I was a small business owner, and I dealt with the, public sacrifice of your business. You needed to close and all of that, and that's what has got me involved politically. Up to that point, I had just been very focused on my business. And once COVID took place, that's when I really got revved up and started asking what is going on, who is in charge, who's making decisions, why is this one moment where I'm supposed to look, for some government guidance or appropriate action and found it to be very inappropriate, which, because my business was closed, I spent a lot of time in the internet going down rabbit holes, and my husband thought I had lost my mind. Because I was like, it's the New World Order, it's it, we're going towards the world order government, we're going to hell, this is it, we've got to do something right now. That's how it started. I meet Mike. Mike is over there, I'll tell him, he's in academics.
Yeah, when COVID was the motivator for me too, I was actually in Reno, Nevada, at the university there, working in a research lab, and of course, lab got shut down, and eventually they said you have to take the jab to get back into the lab, so I didn't do that, so I ended up coming back to Missouri, and really the thing that really sparked me was they wanted to have an all-ages drag show in Warrensburg, Missouri, and I was just floored at how can this be? And I thought, well, I'm going to take a few months and I'm going to fight this and I'm going to show everybody and we'll move on from there. Well, ended up not being able to win that fight, and it led me to Jeff City, and I saw the Hornet's Nest down there, and me and Amy started working together on that drag show. And
yeah, we literally met outside the city courthouse steps. We started talking, and I said, what is going on? He's like, I don't know. And I said, well, I'm going in. I'm going into that drag show. I'm getting a video. If I get a video, he's a tech guy, right? I said, do you think you can get that out to people and not put my name on it? He's like, of course I can. He goes, that's easy. I'm like, you're on. And that was the beginning of this, which is crazy.
We couldn't stop the drag show, but we showed them what was going on inside at least. So. Anyway, we both started going down to Jeff City separately the first year, and we kind of still worked together on a few things here and there, and it just kind of grew from there. And the last 3 years we've been going down together and just learning more about what's going on and trying to bring that back to the people of Missouri, so you know what's going on down there. Everybody gets the national news, knows what's going on, but what goes on in Jeff City affects your life far more than what goes on in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely.
And you get very little of it on the local news. Even the newspapers don't really cover it anymore today. And it's so important. So that's kind of where we felt like we needed to do. We have 3 goals: to educate you on what's going on, to activate, and that's to give you the tools, because one thing the main thing I remember from General Flynn being here at that dinner that Tom put on,
Really stuck with us.
it was, nobody's coming to save you. You're going to have to do it yourself. And that's true. We can't do it for you. Trump can't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. And you don't have to do as much as we do. You don't have to do as much as everybody does. But everybody can do something. And if everybody just did something, we could take this party back and take our state back. And that's how we take the country back.
Yes, it's possible. We do believe it's possible. But it's kind of a mess, and I think hopefully we can show you. I don't know how many of you follow us on social media, but we've taken quite a few hits recently, so we must be over the target. The closer you get, the madder they get, and the dirtier it gets. We are volunteers. We are obligated to no one. No one pays us. We don't take PAC money. We don't get any money unless you guys appreciate the work and want to give us some money. We're not an official nonprofit. We don't file with the IRS. There's none of that. So we've been accused of being a pseudo-leftist group that is impersonating a conservative group in order to destroy the Republican Party.
Yeah.
I mean, that, right? I mean, so we've been dealing with social media that claims, and this is coming from the Missouri GOP, this is coming from the senators, the attacks have been pretty strong. So we just want to make it very clear who we are. We're not obligated to anybody but us as citizens and you as citizens.
And the truth.
The truth. We always say, when we get flustered, we say, what's the next right step? That's what we take, the next right step. The truth is the truth, even if it reflects poorly on the Republicans, okay? Because we've got a uniparty issue that we don't always like to talk about because we don't want to identify conservatives and Republicans, I'm going to say Republicans, as maybe not doing what they should be doing. And a lot of what we have tonight is going to show you that. Please know that we are conservatives. We do want, I would say we're constitutional conservatives. Right? I mean, that's where we are.
Christian constitutional.
Yeah, Christian, I mean, whew, just consider a pseudo-leftist.
Well, if we don't scold our own party when they go astray, we're gonna end up losing elections, and you know who's going. And we're not gonna lose elections because Republicans will vote for Democrats. We'll lose to the Democrats because Republicans will eventually quit voting because they're not getting anything conservative for their votes.
Yeah, it's disheartening, it can be sometimes.
All right, so tonight what we're going to go through real quick is we're going to talk about a few of the highlights so far from the legislative session. But our main focus, we want to make it on some of the tools that we've developed to get you to where you can hold your representatives and senators accountable, and you can know what's going on down in Jeff City, and maybe give you some ways that you can take action. Would you read that quote, Amy?
Yeah, unless the people, through unified action, arise and take charge of their government, they will find that the government has taken charge of them. Independence and liberty will be gone, and the general public will find itself in a condition of servitude to an aggregation of organized and selfish interest.
And
We're pretty close.
Yeah. That quote's been one of our motivating quotes from the beginning of Act for Missouri. So we always like to read that when we start. So that'll give you kind of an idea of what our purpose is. All right, so we'll just jump right in with the bills. The main bill that everybody's talking about, this is the showcase bill this term, is the, how many people believe that the GOP wants to eliminate your income tax?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are so smart, I love it.
Yeah.
No.
So they're selling this as eliminate personal income tax. Now, for us, this is where we started getting in trouble that Amy was talking about, because we believe that conservatives, they will like to eliminate taxes, lower taxes, but they don't do it by swapping for other taxes. And that's really what this plan comes down to, is they want to replace your personal income tax with taxes on expanding sales taxes and expanding to taxes on services to make up the difference. And
I'm going to add that. So they started saying they're going to do this. You have to understand that we're going to be looking at a budget deficit shortly. They need money, and it's got to come from us somehow. Okay.
yeah, so as we go through this, I think it'll become kind of clear what the game is with this whole deal. So again, they say this will eliminate the state income tax. Importantly, the revenue neutral means revenue neutral for the state, not for you, because some people that pay a lot of personal income tax will see a reduction, but that's the very high end, because, you know, we're not talking federal income tax, just the state income tax. And you know, I think the average that we saw was like $1,500 a year for Missouri state income tax.
Yeah.
So to replace that, they're going to start taxing more on sales items and on services. And
I believe the term was expanding the base. They're
calling, well, actually they've coined the term, we're going to modernize our sales tax system.
Modernize the tax code and expand the base.
So again, when they say revenue neutral, that doesn't mean that, I think they want you to think that just means that you're going to pay the same amount of tax, but it's going to be in a different form. You probably won't. Most people are probably going to pay more tax, and we'll kind of show why that is here in a minute. It is something that you get to vote on. So it'll probably be on the November ballot. The governor has until the middle of May to decide which ballot he wants to put it on. He could put it on a special election, but everything we're hearing so far is that we expect him to put it on the November ballot. So you get the final say on this, but remember, they're going to spend millions of dollars trying to convince you to vote for this, and that's what we're trying to get ahead of this and teach everybody to read what's in it, to understand what they're voting for, because the ads are going to say, eliminate your personal income tax, and that's probably going to be the big point of the message.
Well, they already have door knockers. So
Yeah, they do
doors.
that. The other thing that they promise is that it will protect education and local government, that they won't be affected by this. And there is a clause in the latest version of the bill that finally passed through both chambers that does that. Let's just go on. So one of the things that they've been saying lately is, because here's the deal, they're not telling you what they're going to tax and how much they're going to tax. What they're asking you to do, and the reason that you get to vote on it is because our state constitution has in it a protection that we put in 2015 that said that any sales or services that aren't currently taxed cannot be taxed. And they can't do that without going back into the Constitution, and that requires you to vote for it. So that's the first reason they need you to vote for this, is because they need to do this. Understand that if they wanted to eliminate your income tax, we have a supermajority in both chambers. We have the governor. They could do that tomorrow. They could vote it through, have the governor sign it, and eliminate it tomorrow. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, why do they want to put this on the ballot? And the first answer is they need to have you change that constitutional clause that says that they can't tax sales and services that weren't taxed before 2015. The second reason is they want to have a 5-year window after this where how many people know what the Hancock Amendment is? So as part of the Hancock Amendment, it gets pretty complicated, but basically it's our protection against them raising our taxes without our authority. And that's probably the simplest way to put it. There is one section of the Hancock Amendment that they've decided to suspend for 5 years. And that clause, they'll say, well, we're not messing with the whole Hancock Amendment. We're just doing one little clause.
No, they don't even say the whole Hancock Amendment. If you on social media say, well, I don't agree with this because you're removing the constitutional protection. Oh, no, we're not. Yes, you are. You're removing part of it. So when they tell you, it doesn't touch the Hancock Amendment.
Well, first they'll tell you, well, we're not removing it, we're just suspending it.
Well, that's true. They'll say suspend.
And then they'll tell you that it's not really the Hancock Amendment that they're removing because it was put in later.
Right.
But everybody knows that it's the Hancock Amendment. And that one clause that they want to suspend for 5 years will surprise you, I'm sure. It's the clause that says that if they raise your taxes above a certain threshold, they have to get your vote to approve those taxes. So they're going to change what they're going to tax, and then they're going to suspend the one clause that you have against a check to what they're doing. So if they really wanted to be straight with you, one thing they could have done was let that protection in and then came back to you and said, okay, you gave us this authority, now here's what we want to do, you have to vote on it. But they took that out for 5 years, and they can pass a lot of legislation in 5 years and raise a lot of taxes.
So what if the Democrats get back in? What are they
Yeah,
doing?
then they have free reign for 5 years.
So,
Or 3, 2,
so
3.
they'll tell you there's all these safeguards in there, but it really comes down to, do you trust them? They want you to give them the authority and then trust them. So they're saying, give us the framework to be able to make these changes and just trust us. And I show you on the House floor when they finally pass this, several of them getting up and saying, look, the people can trust us to do the right thing.
You've got quite a bit of evidence.
Yeah. And the other thing is when they start telling you this, start asking them, well, what are you going to tax? And they'll start saying, well, we think we can do it and keep the sales tax, the state sales tax under 6%. Well, we've got some handouts that we'll set out outside. You can catch us afterwards if you're interested. It shows how we did the math. We figured out how much, we did 3 scenarios. I don't know if I have them on here. But we did 3 scenarios. One was just raising what the existing sales tax that we have right now. And that would require, to get the money to make up the income from personal income tax, it would be about 11% state income tax. So that's not going to get to 6%. So we started expanding the numbers, and we got to where you get to the point where to get it under 6%, you would have to tax things that the governor promised that we wouldn't tax in his state of the state, like agriculture, medical, and real estate.
Yeah.
And if you start throwing those numbers in, you might be able to get to 6%, but then you're paying tax on rent, you're paying tax on, when you buy a house, the buyer would pay a sales tax. Every service imaginable would be taxed at that point. We have a better idea. Now, the conservative way would be, how many of you know that our state budget has doubled in the last 10 years? So since COVID, and a lot of it is because of the COVID money, if we went back to the pre-budget numbers of spending before COVID, and even add in inflation, we would have pretty much the number that they need to cut the budget to eliminate the personal income tax that way. Last week, we started, there's a lot of, like Amy said, there's a lot of back and forth on social media.
Exhausting. That's primarily my role. It's exhausting.
and the Freedom Caucus in the Senate said, well, the Senate just passed the budget and we cut $4.11 billion.
Did you see that? Did you see how the Freedom Caucus said? So after, notice we said you need to have cuts. And then the very next day, I'm like, there they are. They're saying they cut that budget. And some of you asked, what did you cut? Crickets.
Yeah,
they couldn't answer you.
We took a different approach. We said, wonderful, you cut $4.11 billion. Well, your own office of administration says that we would need to make up $8.51 billion to eliminate income tax, personal income tax in the state. We said, you're halfway there.
Look at that.
So do that again next year, and we can eliminate personal income tax without getting into the Constitution, without expanding to new services and all that other stuff. And, you know, one of the reasons they say is we have to be more competitive. We have to compete with those zero income tax states.
Tennessee.
Well, how much more competitive would we be if we were at zero income tax and still had our low cost of living? Because Missouri is like number 6 with the best cost of living in the country. I don't think we want to give that up in return for it. I think we could do both. And so that's our pitch on...
They didn't like that pitch.
Yeah. Now, here's the reason why. Here's the reason why, or at least the reason I believe. I mean, I can't say 100% for sure, but if you start connecting dots, I think you come to a similar conclusion. The budget is coming in about $50 billion again this year. Last year, it came in at about $51 billion, and they said, we cut the budget. And then we got to the start of this session, and they said, oh, we're out of money. We need to pass a $3.3, I think it was, billion supplemental. And so then we're back to 54 billion, 55 billion, right where we were the year before. They don't want to cut spending is what it comes down to. And so they're trying to find a way to do that. Now, one of the things in the latest version of the bill is they say that whatever they raise from sales has to be used to do the income tax, and they have to put it in the same bills. But they don't have to be at the same time. So I could see a situation where they say, we're going to start taxing you on services at 6%, but we're still going to charge the personal income tax for a few years just so we can see how much we collect.
So So that we're clear on that. So they will tell you, well, it has to happen in the same bill.
Yeah.
And most of the time you'll accept that answer. We did too, and they're like, wait a minute. I said same bill doesn't mean same time. Just same bill. So you could have, there's two different, you could be collecting money for a particular period of time, then the cut comes in. So if you don't ask that question and you just let it go by, they're sneaky. That's pretty smooth.
And so it seems to me that it's like the person that's gotten into financial trouble and they're just trying to find a way to get through the next cycle. And they're like, just let us get our hands on this money, and we've got 5 years to figure out a different way to keep spending, rather than just saying, hey, we've got to make some tough decisions. And that starts with, having a real discussion with the people of Missouri about what is the real purpose of government, what should government be paying for, because we do have a provision that says the budget has to be balanced. Now, they've been overspending, but they've been using money that was in reserves, and that money is out after this year. So they've run out of COVID money, they've drained the bank account. So this seems to me like the next step is to try to find new revenue without making cuts.
I mean, that's what it seems like to us, but we're just citizens out here asking questions.
So we want to get to some of the other stuff, but really quickly, we want to talk about some of the other main things we're seeing this session.
Do you want to take questions on the tax bill
if
now?
anybody has any questions, let's wait because we've only got 2 microphones. Yeah. So the other thing that's been disturbing this session is something called interstate compacts. Now, there are a lot of them are for health-related professions, and the idea is we need more respiratory therapists or speech pathologists and
athletic trainers.
Athletic trainers and masseuses. There's one today for masseuses. So, but anyway, the idea is that Missouri, the legislature passes this bill and we join a bunch of other states and they have a headquarters in Washington, D.C., and they'll decide how we license people. And the thing is, they're telling us that we still have the oversight, but we're already seeing some compacts that we've already joined where they're passing bills because we have to change our licensure because we have to match the compact or they're going to throw us out. And so, again, this is another one of those things where there is a very easy solution. The solution is, if we want to, our licensed people right now could go back and say, well, Kansas, Iowa, their license requirements are similar to ours. We'll just accept their licenses. That would be much easier than us giving up our state sovereignty to a foreign, or to not a foreign, but a national organization. Who knows what they might do in the future. We need to learn from what happened in COVID, and centralized control is the wrong direction in our minds anyway. So there are several of these. I think there are 12 different compact bills that are making their way through right now, and they're all the rage among the legislatures. Which surprises me is you get elected, you go down there, and then the first thing you want to do is turn over your authority to Washington, D.C.
Make it make sense.
Please.
All right. The other thing, let me go. So there's 2 states in the union right now that their state senate doesn't provide a video feed for their citizens to see what they're doing when they're in session. One is North Carolina and the other one is Missouri. Missouri does provide an audio feed, but we'll tell you, it's a whole different thing when you can see what's going on down there. I should have actually brought a picture of what the floor of the Senate looks like most of the time. We're down there at least once a week, and we set through when the Senate goes into session, we're there till they close out usually. And we'll tell you, they come in real quick to get on the roll so they get their stipend, and then they run back to their offices, and there's 2 or 3 there that stay there all day. Mike Moon pretty much stays at his desk all day.
Well, when it's in session, I mean, when they're not in session,
yeah. That's when they're gathering in.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Now, they'll tell you that's not really that important because I should be in my office meeting with constituents and lobbyists.
Yeah, they told us they meet with constituents.
And they have a little radio feed in their office. We can follow what's going on. But I can't tell you the number of times when there's actually a vote that they have to make and it's unexpected and they all get called in and they're running in and they're all asking one another. And we can hear them because we're just right above them and they're saying, what are we voting on? How do I vote? And they're looking at one another and they're looking for leadership to point to them. But one of the things that they won't tell you is there's a lot of stuff that happens on a yay or nay vote in there, and the Democrats are creaming us this session because all the bills are sponsored by Republicans, and a Republican will get up and present his bill, and it's almost instantaneous, isn't it, Amy, that we've got three ladies in the front that are Democrats that are sitting there, and they take turns jumping up, I have an amendment. And so they'll get their amendment, and it's a yay or nay. Well, if there's 2 Republicans in there, and there's 7 or 8 Democrats in there, that amendment's getting added on. So, there's other things that come up that are a voice vote that it would be nice to have our Republicans there for. And sometimes it'd be nice to have them there to say, hey, this is more important to be a yay or nay vote. We need to have a roll call vote on this. And you need 5 senators standing to do a roll call vote on something that's a yay or nay vote. And if you got 2 Republicans in there, you ain't getting your 5. So Senator Mike Moon, he's been for a couple of years trying to say, we need to change this. And so he put in a Senate rule, and he offered it. And I couldn't go that day, but Amy went down and testified. And just maybe tell them a little bit about your experience testifying before other senators who aren't so happy about having.
As I said before, this is nothing I do as a career professionally. I'm just learning like everybody else. And I thought, I'm going to go testify. And the smugness was unbelievable, and it got the best of me because I went completely off script, and I looked at Senator Serpoy and I said, why are you laughing? This isn't funny. And I thought, I don't know where those words came out, but here I am confronting a senator at this hearing, and he just thought it was super funny. And I said, there are working citizens that would like to be able to see and hear this. And he said, oh, yeah, right. Like, who's ever paying attention? And I said, well, I know I do, and I know other people do, because we have these groups that we talk to. And then I said something about working people listening during lunch. He's like, I doubt that. And I said, well, you doubt wrong, because my husband happens to do that. And I just couldn't believe the dismissal. The dismissal was disgusting.
So here's a couple of things that you need to know about this, and why it is so infuriating to us is they already videotaped all the committee hearings and the floor session, because if a senator happens to want to get a clip, they get up and make a big speech and they want to use it for a campaign, well, they can instantly go call the Senate office and get it. So the video equipment is already there. All they have to do is to put it,
and it's already staffed. It's already staffed.
It's already staffed. They already have
people there.
they have cameramen that are there whenever they're in session. There's somebody filming it. The House has been doing this. Our Missouri House has been doing this since 2015, and they do every floor session and pretty much every committee. There's one committee room where they don't have cameras, which is another thing, but they also archive it. The Senate archives their audio for the Senate floor, which is very difficult to go through because you've got to go sort through 8 hours of audio to find something. But their committee hearings is really bad because they don't. If you can listen to it online, but you can only listen to one thing at a time. And if you want to go, if there's a bill that comes up and you want to find out what they said in the committee, you're out of luck. If you weren't there or listened to it live, you're just out of luck. And that's a pretty big thing for transparency.
Trust us.
So Moon got his hearing in that committee on February 24th, and last week they still hadn't acted on it. So he decided, under Senate rules, a senator can bring a Senate rule to the floor at the beginning of each session. And so he picked the day that they were going to start on the budget, and he brought it to the floor, and they went ballistic because they said, we're doing the budget today. And anyway, they ended up, Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman, the famous senator that ditched our IP reform a few years ago, and the reason we have the abortion on the books that we have right now was directly because of that. She got up and made a motion to shelve this, to table it, and it passed 11 to 10. They did do what they call a standing division, and so they asked each side to stand, and it lost by 1 vote. There were 3 senators that we want to point out on this, actually 4 we should probably point out. Nick Shore and Adam Snelting both voted on a preliminary before the final vote on that, and then left the room. And Rick Bratton didn't come down for the vote, neither did Jill Carter. If any one of those 4 had come down, it would have been tied, and under Senate rules, that would allow it to continue. And believe me, if this had gone to a final vote, they would have voted for it because they don't want to go on the record having voted against giving you transparency. So the game was to keep it from coming to a final vote. So when they did that, Senator Moon said it would take a 2/3 vote to bring it back to the floor. So they thought they had him checkmated. So what he did instead is he just filed a new Senate rule, and so he's going to try to bring it back again. So we need to pray for him, but we also need, when you see your reps, call your senator, tell him that you want this to happen, that this is important for transparency, and it is absolutely shameful that Missouri's one of only 2 states that doesn't do it now.
Amen.
All right. So I think somebody asked me about some bills last time about some summer camps and some new regulations. Okay. If you don't mind, if you can catch me afterwards, I'll give you the update on what I know on those. That way we can go quickly and talk about the tools. And I'm going to let Amy kind of be the narrator so I can drive here.
All right. So are you familiar with our website? Has anybody gone on there?
Yes.
A few of you? Okay, the reason we created the website, it really came from Mike and I needing help. So as we were going along, like, it's so hard, we need this, or it'd be nice if we had something like this. Again, tech guy over there, he was able to create this. So these are tools that he has created on this website for any of you to go use. It is all free. Nothing is behind a paywall. Absolutely nothing. And I think you're going to be super impressed when you see everything that you can get on there. Because we would run around to all these different websites trying to collect information. We've put it all in one spot.
Yep.
And we give you all the resources and the links and where it's originating from. So if you don't believe it, you don't look, go further, go as far as you want into the exploration there.
We put the most important things for getting information and holding them accountable across the very top of the website. And we'll just go through these very quickly, and then we can answer any questions you
The first one
have.
are the free tools.
So our tools, we've got just various things that are helpful. So these are who's running for office next time. You can sort it by House or Senate. You can look at different districts. It'll tell you if they've been in office. We've got scores from Locke and Smith, which is they rate everybody on how they vote based on the Constitution. And we also use Armorvine, which is the Shield Maidens, Lisa Panette, she's the one that did those. So we've got scores for those in here. It'll tell you if it's an open seat. We will add more information about the candidates as it goes on. Oops. We've done a couple of things that make it easy for if you want to put a post on social media and you want to have people contact a certain committee or something. We've got a tool that will let you do that. You can pick the committee that you want to use. You can put your message in here, and then when you hit copy, it'll copy all this information, and you can paste it into your Facebook feed or your X feed, and it's just super quick to put something together, and it'll list all their names and numbers so you can have people contact them. So that's your own way to be an activist. The one that I want to hit the most is...
That's nice, isn't it? You don't have to dig around for all those names. This is my personal favorite.
If it'll come up here, we'll see.
I hope so.
Here we go.
Ooh.
So,
follow the money.
So what we've done here is we're looking at votes and where they get their money from. Now this is very hard to get all their money because some of them have multiple PACs, and we try to show that where we can. So here's their top 10 recipients. I think you guys might know this guy.
Yeah, I think you know number 7, Curtis Gregory.
So when you click on
got
him,
a cool $760,000.
you can see how we got all this information from the MEC, which is where they have to report.
Missouri Ethics Commission.
Yep. And so you'll see their top donors. You can look at how he's voted on everything so far, and he is, I think, one of the few senators. He did miss one vote, but he's voted yes, so he's voted on everything that's passed, so he's voted exactly how leadership wants him to vote, is what that really means.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go kind of quickly here because I know we're running short on time. But we also have this section here. This we call our accountability reports. And I'll just show you a couple here. So one of the things we realized when we started looking at doing our own scorecard last year is that it dawned on me that, you know, there were 60 bills that passed in the regular session last year. And of those 60 bills, actually there were 70, and 60 of them had more Democrat percentage-wise voting for them than Republican. And I said to myself, that was shocking to me. I didn't expect to see that. And these aren't just naming bridges or something. These are, multiple things. And I'm saying to myself, well, if the Democrats are supporting this at a higher percentage than our Republicans, then that means that there's more stuff in there that they like than even the Republicans. But that's what we're passing. And that explains one of the things is that almost at the end of every session, you hear one Democrat or another say, we couldn't have done better if we had leadership.
Yes.
I've heard that at the end of several sessions. So that's our partisan scorecard. And this is in real time. It's up to date to their votes so far today. And we categorize them. Strong Democrat and leaning Democrats are the bills that higher percentage of Democrats supported than Republicans, and then lean Republican and strong Republican are the ones that are truly supported more by Republicans. So you can look through this and see we do both the House and the Senate. Again, it's just a way to check and hold them accountable. Before I show you the others, this is probably the most telling one we can show you of how this session is going. So, saved by the Democrats means these are bills that would not have passed because they didn't have enough Republicans to even pass, and it required Democrats to join with the Republicans to pass. And I just want to show you the number of bills here, and this is just this session. This is just this year, that these bills would not have passed unless the Democrats had joined with Republicans to pass. So you can go through, you can click on these bills, see what they're about. You can see who voted for them. Let me just show you real quick here. If you click on a bill, and it's running a little slow, you can see all the votes on the bill. If you click on one of these, it'll tell you, here's the PACs that supported the people that voted yes. These are the PACs that supported the people that voted no. Here's exactly who voted yes, who voted no, who voted present or absent, and it will tell you the difference on those. All right, one more thing real quick on the accountability, and then we'll turn it over for some questions. We want to show you is missed votes, and I think both of both your rep and your senator, they aren't missing votes, but there are people that are missing a lot of votes. And there's only one person that I know, and he's in the Senate. He's a Democrat, but he's actually deployed overseas right now, and that's why it's Stephen Roberts. He has an excuse. Mike Serpoy's in the hospital, so he has an excuse. For now. But Rick Bratton, he's in the building. He just doesn't come down to vote. He's missed almost 30% of his votes this year. He's preparing for his run for Congress, and I think he's pretty much checked out on doing much else. But you can see here, and again, we update this as they pass bills. We only view the bills that pass one chamber or the other, and we only do the final votes on those, which are the votes that matter. But it gives you a good idea of what's going on down there. And on the House side, there's several of them that just aren't voting much at all. And you have to ask yourself why. And with that, I think I'll give one of these mics to Tom, and we'll just try to answer any questions you have. And again, just check out our website. It's real easy to navigate. You can't break anything, so just go and explore. And again, the whole idea is to give you the information that you need, and hopefully some tools that make it easier for you to get involved and hold your people accountable.
Yeah, you can contact us there, and you can contact us on Facebook. People do. They'll just say, I have a question about this, or can I find that? Sure, if we can answer it, we will, or we'll refer it to somebody else that can. Yeah.
First thing I want to say is Britt Sendage has given me a check for the mural. I'm just going to turn that over to Wayne Wise. He's our treasurer of our club. And so Wayne Wise right there, if anybody wants to contribute to our mural tonight. Okay, anybody with a question? I will, David. Great prayer.
Guys, as I looked at this, no sales tax and stuff, Mike Huckabee was a huge proponent for, a consumer tax. And so help me out. I think I'm getting the difference between what we're trying to do with that in regard to rating that on services and stuff. But what is the difference between what Missouri is doing and what they were proposing as a consumer tax?
Well, we don't know exactly what it'll look like yet, because we're just being asked at this point to give them the ability to actually make these taxes. So whether it'll look like a true consumption tax or just a sales tax on services, we don't know. And when we ask them to give us more of the plan, they tell us, well, we've got protections in this bill. Well, no, you don't. And we all know they know what they're going to tax and how much they're going to tax and what it's going to look like. They knew that before they went down this road. And so we just keep asking them, show us what it's going to be. Let us vote on that, not this. And the reason they won't show you is because whatever numbers they came up with, they've certainly determined that you wouldn't support, or otherwise they would go that route. Now, as far as what it would look like, again, we can't know for sure because they won't show us. So
It's the Pelosi passed the bill, and we'll find out later what's in it.
Trust them.
Trust them. Yeah. Trust them.
I want to thank you guys, because when I first got involved with all this stuff, going to the state website was a nightmare, and I finally kind of could figure it out, but then they throw some kind of a monkey wrench into it, and it was impossible to figure out. thank you very much. I appreciate it. It has made learning a little bit better.
Good.
But I will say that I sure wish that we could figure out how to make them responsive, because I've been down to the Capitol and I have tried to speak to people, but they're so busy and they're not working.
All right, this is my department. I know you're not, I know the group's probably thinking, like, how many of you have an X account? Twitter, X. They're all on there, and they hate being tagged or called out. And they will respond, and that's what I said this whole weekend. I told Mike, I said, I've been on Twitter. I cannot believe the name calling and the back and forth and this, and because that is kind of the battlefield. They don't do it up there very much, right? Their phone's busy. So what I've told people is when your senator's phone is busy, you find out the office next to, and that's what I did. I called and I said, hi, very polite. I said, I'm trying to get a hold of senators, but it looks like their phone's full. Would you mind going over there and telling them that their phone is full? Because I'd really like to talk to them. She was like, oh my gosh, really? I said, yes, and thank your senator for doing this. I thought, you just keep calling the guy next to, and pretty soon they're going to say, would you want to do your mailbox? Because I don't want to take any more phone calls. Yeah, you got to get them.
So on the,
Social media.
so they won't make an archive of the videos. So what I've started doing is I've started sunshine requesting and forcing them to give me videos. Now they charge me $6.01 for each request, and it has to be in cash with exact change. But I've started doing it just because, we need to, and some of them we do want to see, but more than anything, I figure if and we do have on our website on the front page a place where you can go and it'll make the form for you and you can email it to them and request it. And if you would do that, it would keep them busy, and maybe their staff would say, hey, we're spending too much time doing this. We better do something else. So.
Did you have a question?
Facebook works too. Facebook will work too.
Anybody got a question? I think it seems to me like the game they play is they keep telling us it's just too complicated. There's no way you can understand this.
That's the first, usually they'll tell you, you don't really understand.
Yes.
That's the first thing. This is very nuanced. You really don't understand. Just go, okay, well, could you explain it to me? And they go, well, I'm kind of busy, and, you go, no, I got time, I'll wait. We do this too, and then can you explain it? Sometimes you get a little information, you ask questions. About your third one in, and they're annoyed at that point. Well, did you hear Mood inquire on the floor? He said, I would like to inquire of the lobbyist, and then he requested the name. It was hysterical. Yeah, that's a good story.
So this was on the tax bill. So the Senate, when they passed the tax bill, we were there that day. Everybody was saying it's going to be a late night. Get prepared. They're going to bring the tax bill. So about 6:30, they brought it to the floor, and then they immediately laid it over, and we're like, what's going on? So we were out in the hall talking with some of the reporters from across the state were there because they wanted to be there when they passed this, and they were like, well, do we go home or do we not go home? We're trying to figure it out. We eventually, there was a storm coming through, so we stayed till about 9 o'clock and decided to go. At 10:30, they adjourned. And we were listening on the way home. They were doing some other bills, and we thought, okay, well, sounds like they're not going to do it. At 11 o'clock, they came back. And they came back and they brought it to the floor, and they immediately said, we have a substitute. And they changed it substantially in the middle of the night. And they'll tell you, well, that's just how it worked out.
They'll tell you.
We do the heavy lifting late at night.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you this, though. The day before, they gabbled in and gabbled out. So they basically showed up at 1 o'clock, and they were out of there by 1:15 so they could go play softball all day. And that was the very day before they passed this in the middle of the night. So Senator Moon, of course, he's got this new bill, and he hasn't seen it, and he's trying to work through it, and he's questioning one of the bill handlers on it, and the guy's like, well, I really don't know if I can answer that. It was done by so-and-so lobbyist that helped us write this. And so Moon finally got frustrated, and he turned and said, okay, well, I need to inquire from somebody else. And said, I'll end this inquiry. And he went to Mr. President, who's the person that's sitting at the dais, and he said, I need to inquire, and he named the name of the lobbyist that supposedly wrote this bill. And they all were stunned. I mean, there was the audio feed went dead silence. And they finally came back and said, well, you can't inquire of somebody that's not a senator. And he's like, well, that's kind of the point, because nobody else seems to be able to answer what's in this. And of course, they waited him out, and then they voted it through. So, and he was, I believe, I think there were, I'd have to go back and look, I think there were 3 Republicans that voted against it. I think it was Mike Moon, Joe Nicola, and Lincoln Huff.
Lincoln voted against it? Yeah.
Well, Lincoln's mad.
Lincoln's mad. Oh,
They-
he's mad. That's
they-
all right, we're just
yeah.
to our advantage. He's
Yeah,
mad.
yeah, he's mad because they removed him as chair of the Appropriations Committee, and that's a very powerful position. So he's doing everything he can to disrupt. Although when it got to the budget,
He was very.
they found a way to make him happy enough to let the budget go through. So he got something out of it. We don't know what, but.
So I want to let you know that you guys are making an impact, and your writing is phenomenal. It is so informative, easy to read, and it's really getting people engaged. How many people are following your page now?
The Facebook page or
Facebook.
I think we just went over, we're like 2,000.1, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe almost, yeah, to almost 2,200. It's kind of, it took a long, kind of slow, and then it got fast. Oh yeah, and our articles now have audio, so if you want to just play it while you're in the car or working, you know, you're in the house doing something, yeah, that's a little bit easier.
We're also hearing, and I've heard this now 3 or 4 times, that the Republicans, quote unquote, know they're going to lose power in Jefferson City, and they're trying to push through everything they can until that happens. Is that something you're seeing?
Like losing the midterms?
No, I'm talking Jefferson City, and that they aren't going to be, like the Democrats are going to take over Jefferson City. You heard anything like that? Are you seeing anything like that?
Well, I think what they're more afraid of, yes, of course, I do believe that if the Republicans keep acting like Democrats in the way they're putting these bills through, they will eventually lose. But I think for the next term, what they're more worried about is there's about, I think we're up to about 7 really strong candidates for the Senate. Grassroots,
So that's
conservatives.
So when they say they lose, it means the establishment loses.
I think that's probably what they're referring
Okay.
to. And that could be our last hurrah, though, if we don't. If we were to get those 7 in the Senate, they still wouldn't be the majority of the majority, but they would be enough that they could pretty much stop the bad stuff. And Bill Eichelbein himself stopped so much bad stuff that people don't realize when he was up there. He used to call himself the Goldie, and he felt like that was his responsibility. He said, I know I can't get much passed, but what I can do is I can block, because I can stand up and talk for a really long time until they give in. So if we have 7 of them that are willing to do that, we can change a lot. So at least in what gets through, because the Senate is set up, any one senator can shut things down for as long as they're willing to. It's just hard to do it by yourself.
So we don't endorse candidates. We decided early on we wouldn't do any endorsements, but we are going to try to maybe highlight some really good grassroots candidates that are out there. There is kind of that ongoing struggle between establishment and grassroots that we saw at the committee or convention level, and I think that's probably, that might be what they were referring to.
It might be.
Maybe that's
I know that
why.
really, really surprised them and made them mad.
Maybe that's why the hits are coming in so
Well,
hard.
you're having an impact.
Thank you. That means a lot, because sometimes you're like, are we yelling into the abyss? Is anybody out there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
We are paying attention.
Good. So you have to talk to friends and neighbors about this tax bill, you know, and I think somebody on our Facebook page said, well, who's going to make signs? You know, there is no organization. It's us. You're going to have to go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and get some cardboard and a 2x4, and you're just going to have to slap that sucker up there and put a big old no on 3, you know, or no on the tax bill or whatever it is, and just tell your neighbors it's not what it appears. Please look into it further. Doesn't mean they have to agree with you. Just encourage them to look into it further. And we've got those resources. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, thank you everything you're doing, Mike and Amy, to keep the state legislature accountable. We need a lot more people doing this, and they do a great job with this. What would you say to those of us that are trying to run for office that want to be a part of that legislature? What kind of advice would you give us to try to make a difference when and if we get there?
Well, I think you need to know your principles. You need to know going in. We often talk about Brian Wolfen, because when we first went down there, we stop in the offices, and you can kind of get a feel for the different offices, and some are more organized than others. And his was really different. I said, something's different. And we just asked him, and he said, well, it was very clear when I came in with my guidelines. Is it constitutional? Yes or no? Does it grow government? Yes or no? Is it good for my constituents? Yes or no? And then did you have a fourth one, I thought?
I think that was.
The 3?
But if they get a no on any of them.
Then he said it's a done deal. So he said, once it's passed, it does the no, I'm out. And he said, so those lobbyists, nobody comes in my office. Because I'm already there. They already know. So, but if you don't know that, and then it does, I think it does get confusing, because they're very good. I mean, I've talked to lobbyists, and I'm like, Mike, maybe I think they're right on this. Maybe they're right. He's like, they're not right. He's like, we just got to dig further. I'm like, okay, let's keep digging. So, you know, because they sound so convincing. That's what they're getting paid to do. And you want to believe, you know, I want to believe that they're good people, right? I'm like, God, can they really just be that malicious? Is that really their goal? I don't want to believe that, but doggone it. Yeah, I feel sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe they are. They're just kind of, so we pray for discernment a lot.
Anybody else got a question? I'm coming over there.
Well, I don't have a question, a comment.
Yeah.
Saturday, we went to Columbia for our granddaughter's birthday, and I had to mail a letter in Columbia at the post office. First of all, it was like homeless people standing outside. But one of them came up to me, and would I sign the petition about that income tax bill? And I thought, it's Columbia. No.
Right. No, there are petitioners out, and they're making it, yeah, they are, because I've had a couple of people contact me about that. I think it has more to, I'm not clear, because some might have to do with that, but some are dealing with the IP reform, and they're saying that they, you know, didn't listen to what the voters wanted. Just don't sign. Don't sign anything.
Amen.
Don't sign at all. If you want, you know, if you want to ask, well, who are you with? You know, sometimes they'll tell you. I've taken snapshots. I've also asked, how much are you getting paid? I had one little gal, she was like, I'm just doing this for a job. I said, well, do you know what you're doing? And she was like, well, no, I just wanted the job. And I said, well, it was for abortion at that time. I said, well, this is for abortion. I said, are you sure you want to be out here? And she was kind of like, you know, I just tried to talk to her hard. And she did kind of walk away. I'm like, well, maybe I discouraged her from getting some signatures. I don't know. But they're just preying on these young kids or homeless people for money. It's sad. It's very sad. But yeah, don't sign. Tell people don't sign. Sounds good, but don't sign. Any other questions?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I think there's 84 people here tonight, so thank you all so
Nice.
much.
Thank you, guys.
They're a great crowd, and tell your friends we video it, we're on Facebook, and so in closing, when you leave, if you're going to talk to each other loudly, do it in here because there's a movie going on upstairs, and if you do it out in the foyer, you'll disrupt the movie going on upstairs. So we welcome you to stay and visit as long as you want, or stay and ask questions, and Jill's got
Absolutely.
And buy tickets.
And buy tickets.
Buy your
Got
tickets.
Jill's right here if you want to buy tickets for Lincoln Days. And if you want to contribute to the mural, explain that
Or if you want to see more on the website.
Jill,
Yes.
is there a site that we can go to order our tickets?
It will be published on our Facebook page soon. And I can email it to you tonight so you can have access to it.
Okay, thank you.
But the point is, once you do that, then.
Then it's wide open to the public once I do that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get our friends and family covered first.
Okay, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Larry.